Hello, and welcome back. As you might have noticed, today, I have another vintage airplane special. I even changed the environment and dressed accordingly. And no, I did not steal this plane. My Japanese friend, Hitomi, sometimes puts pictures of her gameplay on Shitter. This time it came from Flyout, which is on Steam, and according to the description, this is an aircraft building game, with an emphasis on design freedom, and realistic physics, sound and effects. Here are some pictures she posted of a peculiar World War I plane she was building in that game. It is peculiar because it had a push propeller configuration. And it immediately reminded me of the plane of this hilarious movie.
When the risks are high, the chances of survival are low. For Luke and Barney,
and just how did you hit it?
this, the odds are even lower.
You won't mind if I have those shots.
And when everything's at stake,
Pilot to pilot, we can't fly.
there's only one thing that can bring them down to earth. Gun bus.
This is a gun bus.
In a time before fools,
We are in a suicide squadron.
they were called heroes.
The right time to attack is dawn.
When sheer nerve came before courage. In a fight for the chance to make history.
Death or glory.
Gun bus.
There are some very strange things going on here.
I sent her this, and she answered that I showed her a Vickers FB5. Of course, she was correct. So, Hitomi's plane was of a different design. I decided to dive into this fascinating part of the history of powered flight. I found 3 examples of this configuration. Beside Vickers, the de Havilland company built the Airco DH2, and the French had the Voisin. Voisin? Voice what?
Voisin. Voisin.
Yeah, that one, and then the number 3 type. Let us take a closer look at them, one by one, starting with my favorite. The Vickers FB5, which stood for Fighting Biplane 5, was also known as the gun bus. The FB5 was a British 2-seat push propeller military biplane of the First World War. Armed with a single .303-inch, 7.7mm Lewis gun operated by the observer in the front of the nacelle. It was the first aircraft purpose-built for air-to-air combat to sea service, making it the world's first operational fighter aircraft. The 3-single-engine 2-seat fighter was powered by a 100-horsepower no-mono-soupape rotary engine. It had a slight overhang on upper wings and wing warping, which is the twisting, or warping, of plane wings to control the roll of the plane. It were the Wright brothers who first thought of this system and used cables to control the up and down movement of their wingtips to roll their aircraft to the right or left. This was briefly used before ailerons had begun to replace it as the system that is still in use in modern aircraft. Now let's have a look at the next push propeller aircraft, the de Havilland Airco DH2. Where the Vickers a pilot and navigator gunner, the Airco DH2 was a single-seat pusher biplane fighter aircraft which also operated during the First World War. It was the second pusher designed by aeronautical engineer Geoffrey de Havilland for Airco, based on his earlier DH1 2-seater. By the way, I think the word Airco means aircraft company, not air conditioning. The DH2 was also armed with a single .303-inch Lewis gun, which was mounted on a flexible mount. Once pilots learned that the best method of achieving a kill was to aim the aircraft, rather than the gun, it was fixed to fire forward. The majority of DH2 were powered by the 100 horsepower GNOME mono-Papa 9-cylinder, air-cooled rotary engine. However, later models received the similarly configured but much improved 110 horsepower Larone 9J engine. Some sources state that the mono-Papa had a tendency to lose cylinders mid-air. More about this, and how this could happen, later in the video. Number 3 in the list is the
Voisin.
3 from France. This plane is known for the first successful shooting down of an enemy aircraft on October 5, 1914. The
Voisin.
3 was a French World War I, two-seat pusher biplane multi-purpose aircraft developed by
Voisin.
in 1914 as a more powerful version of the 1912
Voisin.
1. This design has been used to equip the first dedicated bomber units in September of 1914. The first
Voisin.
3 was initially powered by a single 130 horsepower Samson M9 water-cooled 9-cylinder radial engine, which is different to a rotary engine of the British planes. Later examples used the similar 150 horsepower Samson P9 or R9. It had a range of 200 kilometers, a top speed of 105 to 113 km per hour and a ceiling of 3,350 to 6,000 meters, depending on engine and manufacturer. The pilot was ahead of the passenger, who could fire weapons, release bombs or take photos, depending on the mission. From 1915, this plane was also sold to the Imperial Russian Army. Personally, when seeing the undercarriage without the wings, it could be a propeller-driven car. So, perhaps it was way ahead of its time, right? Oops. I totally forgot. We are close to Christmas and since I have so much to do, and so little time, I have to make this a two-part video. And it gives me an excuse to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, with my silly drunken Santa parody song.
Who do you know with a liver that's huge, a big red nose and guzzles down booze? Drunken Santa's coming to town. He's ringing a bell and holding a cup, playing Santa Claus beats sobering up. Drunken Santa's coming to town. He gets himself kicked out of bars for passing deadly gas. He came with 2 boot sleeves with 3, one wedged up his ass. Dogs lift their legs to the jolly drunk elf, but he doesn't care, he pees on himself. Drunken Santa's coming to town. Mommy, Mommy, can I sit on Santa's lap, please? Sure, honey, go ahead. Oh, Mommy, Santa smells! Ew.
What do you want for Christmas?
I want to go home.
Come on, man. But I'm Santa Claus.
He likes to drink a 6-pack and hang out at the malls. He'll give your kid a candy cane that he used to scratch his balls. He wears a red hat, black belt, and a scarf. His beard should be white, but it's covered with barf. Santa's gonna show up, stagger around and throw up. Drunken Santa's coming